Hey Giants fans, welcome to the Giants Grit channel, your New York Football Giants fan channel with reasonable, rational, sometimes irrational views and reviews without the theatrics. Although the way the Giants are playing lately, it's hard to stay calm about it. So anyway, last night on Monday Night Football, Giants lost 26-18 to the, I forgot who they're playing. It's the same broken record every single time, it seems like. But they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, excuse me. It was actually a close game. It was 9-9 at the half. The Giants played a tough defensive battle with the Steelers. The Steelers won it because the offense was a little bit better, the quarterbacking was better, but that's a broken record. And also the special teams, and they got a little more help from the refs. It was an over-officiated game, and Troy Aikman, the announcer, even said that that crew they call every single penalty, even ones that are really questionable. So the Giants got the worst end of that, but I won't, give the Steelers their due. They still would have won. Moving on to the overall summarization is that, Daniel Jones, and here's a broken record again. He's just a backup quarterback playing quarterback. He's not the guy, all right? He's 6 years into it. He can't do it. I wouldn't even really want him as a backup. I think it's a pretty privilege with him. I think because he doesn't say anything bad. He behaves himself in the locker room and in front of the media. He looks the part. 6'5", 230 pounds, athletic, strong, fast, or at least he used to be. Good-looking guy. He looks like the all-American quarterback, if you will, and I think everyone gives him the benefit of the doubt. And he just doesn't have it. I had high hopes for him in 2019 when he was drafted. I kind of lost hope when I saw the Tampa Bay game where he just threw interception to the defensive tackle, and I just thought, this guy just does not have it. Phil Simms and Eli Manning and Kerry Collins, the last decent quarterbacks that the Giants had, or good quarterbacks, even right away when they didn't play well, they showed flashes, and Daniel Jones is just far too few flashes. He just doesn't have it. So moving on to the rest of the analysis, running backs, Tyrone Tracy, rookie Tyrone Tracy is an excellent player. I think he's already a very good player, and going forward, he's definitely running back one. He got 20 carries for 145 yards, including a 45-yard touchdown run, and he averaged over 7 yards a run. He's just looking excellent. He looks so smooth. He doesn't have to do jump cuts. He just cuts really so well. He seems to be stronger than he looks. He's just so smooth. He's got good speed. A lot of the media is talking about, the Giants messed up. They didn't sign Saquon Barkley. They're getting Tyrone Tracy, who's 5 years younger, at a fraction of the cost. I don't recall what the exact cap hit is. But so losing Saquon Barkley is not the reason why the Giants are slumping. And they're in good hands with Tyrone Tracy. So moving forward, you just hope he stays healthy, because it looked like he got a concussion or something close to it towards the end of the game. So again, 20 carries for 145 yards, one touchdown, a 45-yard run, and he had a couple of catches for like 10, 12 yards. So Devin Singletary, who's obviously now the backup running back, he had a couple of catches and a couple of carries, nothing big. At the end, the interception that ended the game that Daniel Jones threw, he had a wide open Theo Johnson for about 15 yards, and he threw a 10-foot pass to 5'7" running back Devin Singletary that ended the game that the Steelers picked off. Eric Gray just had one catch for a couple. The running backs, that's it for the running backs. The wide receivers, Malik Neighbors, 7 catches for 7. Looked good, but had a couple of drops. But he's still very dangerous. I think he's just shaking a little of the rust off of missing 2 games. But unfortunately, he can't do it by himself. And now Darius Slayton, he had 4 catches for 108 yards. Slayton looked good. he almost got killed because Daniel Jones gave him a medicine ball. He was wide open for an easy first down, and Jones threw it too late. Troy Aikman, the announcer, he pointed that out. And yeah, I mean, Slayton looks good. He had a 43-yard catch. He had a 37-yard catch. Slayton's looking good. I mean, he's showing that he's really just a decent number 2 receiver. Wan'Dale Robinson was the 3rd receiver. He had his usual 5 or 6 catches. I think he had 5 catches for 30 yards. He didn't get any first downs. He didn't drop any either, but he usually has a bigger impact. This was a very quiet game from him. Not a bad game, but just a very quiet game. No other receiver even got a snap at the line of scrimmage. So they played a lot of tight ends, which, moving on to the tight ends, Theo Johnson, the rookie, number 84, he looked good. He blocked well, and he had 3 catches for 38 yards, I believe, including a 25-yard seam pass that really, he looks good on. They really should try and incorporate that. But I don't really trust Jones to throw that pass. But nonetheless, they should try and use him. He even had like a 10, 11-yard pass that was called back because of a penalty. And he looked good on that. He was rumbling pretty good. So, yeah, we definitely need to use Theo Johnson more as a receiver. Daniel Bellinger, I don't think he got any snaps at the line of scrimmage. And Chris Manhertz, he's just our blocking tight end, but he actually caught a touchdown pass that was called back for a questionable penalty. The Giants overall had 11 penalties, including 9 on the offense alone, which brings me over to the offensive line. The offensive line, mixed bag on that. The run blocking was good throughout the game, first half and the second half. I thought the guards and the center played well. Yeah, they opened up holes. Daniel Jones didn't really have any people too much in his face. All the tackles really struggled. The right tackle, Jamie Illuminor, he had a rough game. He was going up against one of the best defensive players in TJ Watt, so it's understandable. Some of the play calling was questionable. They should have been chipping more and giving him some help, but they also had a brand new left tackle, Chris Hubbard, who's only been on the team for like a couple of weeks, who's replacing Andrew Thomas. He had a rough game. He also gave up a couple of sacks, a few pressures, but again, it's his first game going up against one of the very best defensive players in the league in TJ Watt, and also a good one in Alex Highsmith on the other end. So, Steelers got a good defense, but overall, the offensive line is not the reason the Giants lost this game. The pass blocking from the outside wasn't that good, but they ran for 145 yards from Tyrone Tracy, about 10 yards for Singletary, none for Gray. Gray had they rushed for over 150 yards. So the run blocking was fine. The pass blocking could have been better, but as always, Daniel Jones makes the pass blocking look worse than it is. He got sacked 4 times. He probably should have only been sacked 2 or 3 times. At least one of those was on him. So, but unfortunately, too, they keep getting that illegal man downfield penalty. There were a couple of holds. The illegal shifts, I know that's not necessarily on the offensive line, but yeah, they need to clean that up. I mean, they still had like a C- game, but the offensive line, I'm not as worried about it. I think they'll bounce back once they get in. Andrew Thomas is not coming back, but I think they're good enough. Now, moving on to the defense, they're the reason other than quarterbacking that they lost. And you could say the special teams. But the interior defensive line, Dexter Lawrence, our best player, basically, he had a very solid game. Probably his most quiet game, at least on the stat sheet. He didn't get any sacks. I think this is only his second game he didn't get a sack. But he created pressure. He just missed a sack that caused the quarterback to run into Brian Burns. They had to double team him all game. Against the run, he was solid against the run. Again, it didn't show on the stat sheet. I think he only had 2 tackles, 2 assists. But I mean, Dexter Lawrence, again, it's not the Dexter Lawrence channel, but he's continuing to play and he's definitely a defensive player of the year candidate. And this game didn't do anything to erase that. Everybody else, Elijah Chapman, DJ Davison, they didn't do anything good or bad. Well, more bad. They got pushed back. The Steelers were getting a good running game, especially early on. Linebackers weren't able to run to the ball as much because it was a lot of trash, because the Steelers were just, they were pushing the Giants interior linemen back. Armon Watt, who filled in for Jordan Riley, didn't look too bad. He had a tackle for a loss, and he drew a flag that nullified the Steelers' second touchdown on their drive that was called back. There's something to work with there with Armon Watt. So hopefully, unfortunately, Jordan Riley's not looking too good, so Armon Watt's probably going to get his spot. So there might be something there. So I'm a little disappointed that Elijah Chapman, he looked like he was making some progress with his determination and hustle and his speed, but he was just super quiet this game. So unfortunately, we'll see. Hopefully he progresses. Moving on to the edge rushers. The edge rushers had good games. Azeez Ojulari, 2 sacks, a lot of pressure, a couple tackles for losses. Looked good. I mean, they had troubles against the run. He looks like he was exposed a couple times on those wide screens that the Steelers ran. But Azeez already has 6 sacks on the year, so he's not a better player than Kayvon Thibodeaux. But man, it would be nice to have Burns and Thibodeaux and Azeez helping out Dexter Lawrence. It would really be nice because Azeez has definitely picked up his game. So it'd be interesting to see what the Giants do. Are they going to trade him at this deadline, or are they going to possibly re-sign him? I'm leaning towards them re-signing him. As far as Burns played well. He had a sack, tackle for loss, got pressure as well. Not quite as good a game as Azeez, but he was better against the run. And Tamon Fox, he got some playing time, some snaps. He didn't do anything of note, good or bad. Moving on to the inside linebackers, Bobby Okereke led the team with like 7 or 8 tackles. He's just not having as good a year. He forced a fumble, and he also recovered a fumble towards the end of the game that gave the Giants another chance to try and tie it up. But unfortunately, that was when the final pick that Daniel Jones threw at the end. But Okereke, I don't know if he's not fitting Shane Bowen's defense as well, but I'm almost thinking, maybe they can let him go at the end of the year, because I think between Micah McFadden, Darius Muasu, and Deontay Johnson, they might have enough at inside linebacker that high salary that Bobby Okereke is drawing. They might be better off taking that off the books. But that's another story for another day. Getting back to the review, Micah McFadden, he had about 4 or 5 tackles. He had his usual game. He had a nice tackle for loss. A couple of others helping out, but he also got juked a couple of times, and also a few of his tackles were downfield because when he tackles a guy, they don't always stay tackled. They sometimes push him forward or drag him a bit. So that being said, I still think he's a solid player. Muasu had some playing time there, and I don't think he got on the stat sheet. So nothing good or bad out of Darius Muasu, the rookie. He played specials, so there's some nice potential there with him. So I hope he continues to develop. Also, now moving on to the secondary, kind of a mixed reviews. The big news is Deonte Banks got benched in the 3rd quarter. He missed a couple of tackles. It didn't look like anything from effort like it was against the Eagles game, but he just had a horrible, Najee Harris, the Pittsburgh Steelers running back, jumped over him, and he looked like he was diving for his legs, which he's a big corner. He doesn't have to do that. He's not some 5'7", 185 pound corner. He's a good 6'1", 6'2", 205 pound corner that he needs to do a better job of that than just throwing himself at a running back's legs. And then he did make a nice play pushing Pickens in the end zone, preventing them from getting a touchdown, but he's just not playing as well, and maybe the benching will wake him up. So I still think he's got a lot of potential, so I hope he bounces back. Cordell Flott, our number 2 corner, unfortunately he was out with an injury. Nick McLeod replaced him. Did an adequate job, I thought. Drew Phillips, our 3rd-round rookie, who's been playing really well. He had to play outside more with all the injuries because Adoree Jackson also missed this game. And he still continued to tackle well. He's an excellent tackler. And he did get exposed, though. He did get beat a couple times, including the first touchdown to Austin on the Steelers. And I think he was also got beaten on the 2nd touchdown to Pickens, him and Jason Pinnock, the safety. So, and then Greg Sorman, a practice squad player. He got activated with the injuries to Flott and Adoree Jackson and the benching of Deonte Banks. He actually held his own for a practice squad player. I was scared when, like, oh my God, they're going to expose him. But he played all right. There was one great catch against him, but it was more like a really great catch, more so than him not having good coverage because he was with the guy. And that's about it for the corners. As far as the safeties, Jason Pinnock did not have a good game. He took some bad angles. He missed some tackles. He got dragged on other tackles. He kind of did the Micah McFadden on where he's tackling the guy and he's getting dragged 1.5 yards or two. So, yeah, not a good game from Jason Pinnock. And also, Tyler Nubin, the rookie safety, this was his most quiet game. He only had about 3 or 4 tackles. He didn't get exposed either, so I think he deserves some credit for the Steelers wide receivers, especially Jordan Pickens. Didn't have a great game, and so he was helping out on deep coverage. So still happy with his progress, but it's more quiet game. So, and the third safety, Dane Belton, I think he got 1 or 2 snaps from the line of scrimmage. Didn't do anything of note. He played specials. He had a really nice hit on a special teams tackle on the sideline on a Steelers punt returner. As far as the special teams are concerned, Greg Joseph was 4 for 4 on his field goal attempts. Coverage was all right until the Steelers returned one for a touchdown. The Giants got screwed because the Steeler ran into the Giants punter and they didn't call it. So, and it looked like there may have been a couple of block in the backs that the Steelers did on the Giants on coverage, but unfortunately, bad teams. This happens to bad teams, and the Giants they're just a bad team right now. And better than last week when they got blown out, but hopefully we'll come back next week. So that's it for this review. I'll be sending out a mock draft because it's basically, we're 8 games into it. The Giants are 2-6. I know it's not a 16-game season. It's a 17-game season. I'll be putting out a mock draft, and I'll also put out a free agency preview since I kind of got an idea now what I think the Giants will be looking for in the draft and free agency, seeing as how the players have played out, which players are developing, which are not, and which players I think they can move on from. So, all right. Thank you again. Please like and subscribe, Giants fans and football fans. Let's get those crappy AI fan channels down on the YouTube algorithm. All right. Thank you, everyone.